And welcome to another edition of Shore Sports Network Live, Kevin's Corner, sponsored by Jersey Mike's Be a Sub Above. As we hit the first week of February, we were kind of hoping this would be a great time. The high school basketball season will be rolling along. It is to some extent, but it is not in other cases. I'm joined by Andrew Bilodeau, the coach of the Manasquan Warriors, the number one ranked team in the Shore Sports Network Top 10. And my original intent in chatting with Andrew this morning was to sort of, I'll use the word hype, but preview a couple of big games this week. Manasquan hosting and then traveling to Rani, a matchup of the top two teams in our Shore Sports Network Top 10. Those games are not now going to be played this week. Over the weekend, we got word that Manasquan, indeed, like many other programs in the Shore, had been shut down due to COVID concerns. So the tone changes a little bit, Coach, but first tell us when you got word that indeed you had an issue and would have to get off the court for a couple of weeks.
Good morning, Kevin. Good seeing you. Unfortunately, under different circumstances. Yeah, we found out Thursday, I believe it was Thursday morning, that one of our players had begun to have symptoms, and another kid we knew was getting tested just as a precaution to visiting family. He had no symptoms, but one of them did not play in the game. The kid getting precautionary testing, and unfortunately, one player did play Wednesday night, and so it's just I think the new norm, right, as you would say.
Yeah.
And very unfortunate for us, and I feel terrible for St. Rose.
Who was your opponent? Yeah. So you're down for 14 days. That would get you back on the court if all things go well. What, on the 13th of February? Am I around there?
I don't have a specific date yet. I know I'm going to get that today from administration. They have to go through their protocols in terms of, checking with the guys as to when symptoms onset. And, I'm so confused by this stuff at this point. I don't know exactly the date.
But the bottom line is you're probably going to miss 4 scheduled games, 2 this week with Rani, 2 next week with Ocean. And with the schedule so limited, realistically speaking, do you hope to try and make up 1 or 2 of those 4?
Absolutely. We've already been in contact with those schools, and Rani is very much in agreement that that we don't want to lose those games. Certainly, if we can salvage at least one of them. But at the same time, I think schools have to do what's in their best interest in trying to find, opponents to pick up, because I think we're all kind of playing on borrowed time, right now. But we definitely will be trying to reschedule that. And that's why, you and I were talking about this. I think we feel lucky, as crazy as that sounds, that we were shut down so early, because we have enough weeks remaining that we can reschedule certainly all 4 of those games. The NJSIA allows us to play 3 games a week. So hopefully we have enough time left in our schedule to reschedule them.
Our Matt Manley from the Shore Sports Network reported over the weekend that 15 of the 47 boys basketball programs in the Shore Conference have been shut down at one time or another since practice began, which was just 3 weeks ago. So I said to you joking before, I wonder how many of those 47 would actually play all of their scheduled games when they are on the schedule. And I would say the number will probably be pretty small.
It's sad. It's sad. We had a Shore Conference Zoom call last night, and we discussed these very things, and, kind of some strategies. And I think the problem here is that you can do everything right, and I'd like to assume everybody is, and you can do everything right, and still, this thing is so darn infectious that you just really, you can't control your fate here. You just have to hope for the best and keep going along. But yeah, 1/3 of the Shore is already shut down, and friends from around the state are having the same issues. It's a tough time.
So let's talk about the good news. You did get to play twice last week against St. Rose, a program you're familiar with and geographically very close. And You won the first game by 31, the second by 16. What did you like that you saw from your squad?
Well, it's funny because we kind of feel like it takes about 10 games to figure out if you're any good, and that includes that doesn't include all those scrimmages we normally have, and it's pretty wild, one scrimmage and then you're on the court playing good opponents, conference opponents, and uh, I felt like the kids were so excited to get back on the court. Um, there, believe it or not, like in our home game and then the away game, I thought the energy was outstanding. I thought, it kind of felt like there was a crowd there, or with the JV teams, um, in the bleachers cheering, and both teams had, both of our schools have elected to allow cheerleaders at the games. So there was some buzz in the gym. There was some noise, Kevin, and but I just thought the attitudes of the kids were really exciting. Um, as for us, I think it's early. Obviously, we have a lot of guys returning from last year, and we're really excited about that. But we're also really interested and excited to see some of these new faces that are on our team.
All right. So, how about coaching in the environment you're now in? Now, Andrew, I've known you for a long time. You've known to shout or two on the sidelines. Now, the good news is, well, I shouldn't say the good news. Part of it is you don't have to worry about any parents hearing you chew out a kid who maybe didn't do something well. But the other thing is everybody else can hear what you say. So you got to be kind of careful and choose your words on the sidelines.
We don't call it yelling. We call it projecting. And it's a big room. It's a big room, and there's a lot of people in it usually. So you just you have to. I can't whistle very well, so I just usually project someone's name to get their attention, and then we go from there. But no, it's it, there is noise in the gym. I mean, it's a bizarre thing, I know, but between the kids on the bench yelling and the kids in the stands, we've had, like I said, both games. The JV teams are there, and they're spread around the gym, and they're excited to be there, and they're fans of each other too. So there really are fans there. Unfortunately, it's about 800 less than normal, but at least for our tiny gym. But it's there's been energy, and it's really not that different once the ball gets tipped up. I honestly don't hear anything. I usually get that stuff from people like, did you hear what this guy said, or that I really don't hear that stuff once the game starts.
You were one of the few teams that were still playing when we got shut down last March. As a matter of fact, listen, I mean, the day you were scheduled to play Camden is kind of the day the world came to an end, so to speak, from the pandemic. And obviously, you had a very talented team last year. And even though talented team this year, you had a couple of very good seniors, who sort of got denied that opportunity. And I'm sure part of you said, while those kids are gone, these other kids are going to get that opportunity next year. And here we sit now, and you don't have any idea what this year will actually bring, in what you're playing for. And so how challenging has that been for you as a coach?
It hasn't been fun. It hasn't been fun in that regard. And, I mean, no disrespect, but I just, if I never talk about last year's ending again, I'll be happy. It seems like everybody you bump into, or everybody that every media source brings that up, and I understand why. We're lucky that we had such a good team last year that it is a big deal. So we're very blessed, but we are we were so excited to be back and starting up this year that seemed like a distant memory last March. But you don't know what's going to happen, Kevin, and I know the state pushed the season back in hopes of trying to allow us to have a better chance at one. But I don't know when you could have pushed this season to give us, a higher percentage chance. But it's just a time of uncertainty, and I think if anything maybe comes out of this, we feel, we have to feel blessed for the opportunities that we do have and make the most of them. But it's a very uncertain time, and every day is a gift. and you just have to keep moving forward as best you can.
You mentioned that you thought the kids hit the court pretty good last week, considering, just the one scrimmage and all that. One young man who certainly looked like maybe not in regular season form, but he didn't show too much rust, was your outstanding guard in Ben Roy. What can you tell me about him?
Well, there's no off season for him. So, pandemic, no pandemic, short season, long season. It's, for Benji, it's pretty irrelevant. If there were 8 days in a week, he'd be working out 8 days a week. I mean, that's just who he is. And, uh, he's in phenomenal condition. His skills are sharp. He's played really well. His attitude's outstanding, as it always is. And he's kind of hit the ground running, in our eyes. And I feel bad for all the kids. Obviously he's only a junior, but, I do feel bad for the kids, throughout the state that have done all the things like he has in the off season, and only to see this, kind of be so uncertain for us.
Yeah, the good news for him, obviously, is a junior. He'll get another go around. But you've also got a nice core group of seniors who are real good players, have been in your program, have grown up with your program. Some really getting their first opportunity this year to be a primetime player. But then you have others like Casey Mulligan, who seems like he's been there forever.
Yeah, yes, Casey. Yeah, Casey. I call him the human bruise. He's on the floor just about every other play. Like a lot of our guys, Casey's one of those guys who, for us, just represents literally everything that you want in a Manasquan Warrior, like so many of our guys do. He's an outstanding athlete. He's a phenomenal young man, impeccable character, and he's an outstanding student. Casey's going to University of Pennsylvania next year to play lacrosse for the Quakers. So, those are the kinds of kids that we have at Manasquan. We're very blessed to have great athletes, but they also come from outstanding families, and they're unbelievable students. Our academics are so good, and it just shows in the type of kids that we produce.
And of course, seniors like Jack Collins, Connor Walsh, Andrew Solomon, again, all saw action and all had moments for you last year, but obviously their role is even different this year.
No doubt. Jack Collins and Connor Walsh were starters on this team last year. Yep. They both started regularly through the rotation of games, especially with Alex Galvan being in and out of the lineup in his senior year last year. And Andrew Solomon played big moments in big games. I mean, Andrew was critical to us in our Roselle Catholic game up at Brookdale last year. So those three guys, absolutely, and we have a kid back this year named Shane Letty, who had a torn ACL last year, one of our best defensive players. He's working himself back into shape. He's the kind of guy I feel terrible for. I mean, here he missed his junior year, and great year it was for us. And now, his senior year is this pandemic year. It's difficult. It's difficult, but those guys, like you said, saw a lot of action. I mean, I think Connor Walsh and Jack Collins are two of the better players in the Shore, quite frankly. And they're both college basketball players, and so is Andrew Solomon. And those guys, I'm hoping, are going to have a great senior year once we get this thing back up and running, Kevin.
You mentioned, there's been a little atmosphere because there's cheerleaders and there's JV players in the gym, but it's unfortunate that your fans are not getting a chance to see. I know you've done your facility completely over. It's become a showcase, sure, something you're very proud of, and unfortunate that the fans, especially the Manasquan, diehard fans, are not in the building this year.
It is a bummer. Our Board of Education, our superintendent, our athletic director, our principal, they worked extremely hard and did an unbelievable job with our facilities last year. We had the gym completely redone, new bleachers, new paint. For those of you that are Knick fans, we have Boston Garden parquet, wood floors. If you remember the old Boston Garden look, it's absolutely beautiful. One of the things that is interesting, though, people talk about that gymnasium, but we put on a new science wing on the high school in the last couple years. We've refurbished fields. The amount of change that has taken place, physically at Squan has been unbelievable. So, what our Board of Ed has tried to do is continue to give the student athletes and the students, everything that they can and everything that they deserve. But we have been streaming our games as most schools have. So if you get a chance to check it out, Kev, I think you'll like the floor.
Well, we hope to check it out up close. If all goes well, on Tuesday, February 16th, you will host Wall that night, and that is a game that we will be streaming live on the Shore Sports Network with the cooperation of your athletic director, Pete Cahill. We're looking forward to getting a up-close look at that parquet floor. And I hope that you're back on the court then, Coach. More than anything, I hope, we can keep kids as healthy as possible during this very abbreviated season and let these kids make some memories for sure, especially for the seniors who, are going to be deprived of so much. But as always, I love chatting with you. I look forward to seeing you in person. Hopefully, we'll be masked up, of course. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope your little ones are keeping you busy on a snow day today.
I got to go shovel, man. So thanks so much. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon.
Andrew Bilodeau in his 13th season at Manasquan, and it looks like the Warriors are going to have a good team for sure if they can just stay healthy. Thanks for watching the Shore Sports Network in Kevin's Corner right here, brought to you by Jersey Mike's. More interviews coming your way in days and weeks ahead.